up, everybody? I'm here with Chad Wiebesick from the MEDC, and he is the Director of Social Media and Interactive Marketing for the Pure Michigan campaign. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, John, for having me.
We are here in Lansing at the MEDC offices, so this is the first remote show. Pretty excited about that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about marketing and about how the successes of the Pure Michigan campaign have worked, how Chad and his team have really used the latest and greatest in technology to drive that campaign forward, create a massive awareness about tourism to the state of Michigan, and how we're going to continue to take that effort and energy and move forward into using the latest and greatest and continuing the trends of telling everyone about how great a four-season destination Michigan is. And then some of the tips are going to be awesome for you at home, awesome for you who own businesses, and will be easily transferable. To start, how have you guys kind of leveraged user-generated content to drive forward the Pure Michigan campaign? It's super important to use that content. It's available, and I'm sure you guys get a ton of it through all the different hashtags and @ messages and different ways to connect with all the Pure Michigan campaigns.
Yeah. For us, user-generated content plays a pivotal role in our social strategy, and the answer that I'm going to give applies not only to our business, but to any business, large or small, in any industry, and really to any social media practitioner, if they work on the agency side or on the client side. The reality is that nowadays, I think there's two realities. One is people are inundated with advertising marketing messages from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. I've seen research that people are exposed to 3,000 marketing messages a day. That's crazy.
It's way too many for me to pay attention to.
And then on the other hand, so there's an inundation of advertising out there. On the other hand, people trust companies less and less. They trust brands less and less, and they certainly trust government, like us, less and less, right? So whom do people trust nowadays? They trust people like themselves, their friends and family. To a certain extent, they trust academic advisors, third-party researchers, the news media, to a certain extent, right?
Certain channels.
So how do we thread the needle, right? There's so much advertising out there, people don't pay attention to you, and they don't trust you. There's a lack of time and a lack of trust, right? So how do businesses, large and small, how do we break through the clutter? We break through the clutter by focusing on whom people do trust, which is their friends and family, user-generated content, because the fact of the matter is, messages from somebody you know is trusted more than a message coming from a marketing organization.
Yeah, because people sniff it out. They know they're trying to sell me something. They're trying to advertise to me. And if it's a picture that my Aunt Sherry took up at Tacoma
Common Falls.
Boom, there we go. See, don't worry about it. Beautiful. I mean,
it's beautiful.
I want to go see that place because
it's authentic,
cool.
It's real, and it hasn't been doctored or photoshopped.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
that's why TripAdvisor ratings and reviews are so popular.
Yeah, TripAdvisor, Yelp, things like that. And so, what are you guys doing, or what's your kind of biggest challenge now with, keeping up with technology or staying up to date with the latest and greatest? Or what is the biggest challenge as technology changes? What's the hardest part for you guys right now?
Well, technology-wise, it's really just, for any organization, it's just staying abreast of what's new, and what's next. And we all have limited time, bandwidth and resources to kind of stay abreast of what's new and what's next. And fortunately, we have a small team, we're quick and nimble, and we have supportive leadership that really allows us to kind of get out there and kind of push the envelope and try new things.
Take the reins, and try new things.
Take the risk, right.
That's cool. That's really good.
Yeah, and so I would say one of the challenges we have, or rather one of the opportunities we have, is the continuation of growing the awareness of Pure Michigan as a brand, and specifically as Michigan as being just a wonderful travel destination, a wonderful four-season travel destination. I think the last research had about 40, 50 or so % of the American population knew of Pure Michigan. That's great, but we still have a ways to go. So we're looking to continue to increase funding for Pure Michigan to continue to do domestic and international marketing.
So who's the biggest market to try to drive from international tourists coming to Michigan?
A few. China, certainly, hands down, is a huge market. I mean, nearly like a seventh or a sixth of the world population, is China. So that's a huge market. UK, Germany is as well. And the further that people fly to visit you, the longer they stay, the more they spend.
The more they spend, exactly. Longer room nights, more heads and beds for everyone around, and more restaurants making money. So with kind of these things being so important nowadays, mobile first mentality, what are you guys really doing to focus on curating all of your marketing content to a mobile first approach?
Mobile is imperative for organizations in the travel industry, because if you think about it, the internet technologies and mobile technology has fundamentally changed how travelers plan, book, and share before, during, and after their travel. So stepping back, going back a few years, Michigan.org was one of the nation's first travel websites in the U.S. to have a fully responsive, 100% fully responsive website. And responsive web design means that it's one website that is platform agnostic and is viewable and visible on any device, any platform, regardless if it's a 21-inch desktop monitor or a 10-inch tablet,
tiny little flip
or
phone.
a 6-inch little iPhone, right? It's one set of code, one website that stretches and shifts. So at the time, it was a radical idea, and we had, when we came up with the business decision that we were going to make Michigan.org responsive so that it was mobile friendly, mobile first, we had vendors, web design companies saying, you know what, it's too new, it's unproven, it's never going to work for Michigan.org. There's too many images and graphics. It's not going to work. Well, we didn't choose them. We chose another company.
Chose somebody else who wanted to do it for you. So right now we're going to link it up. Boop, go to Michigan.org, check it out, and then open it up on your cell phone. It's going to look the same. But all the pictures and the text will get a little bit bigger when you're on your cell phone. The pictures will get a little bit smaller and resized, so it just works seamlessly. These guys have one content management system to work with, and everything just upload it, and then the system automatically is so smart. It's like, yay, looks awesome on everything.
And to have a responsive website doesn't mean that you have to have a dedicated second, mobile-friendly website, right? Because
exactly. So you only have to manage one content management system.
Right? Because imagine this scenario, right? You have a desktop version and a mobile version. You get two sets of code. You have to optimize this. You have to optimize this, and all the traffic that was going to your mobile website was going over here. So you lose out on search traffic and search rankings. Now we get more traffic, and it's one and the same.
Exactly. So for all of you at home, if you have two different websites, it's twice as much work. It's twice as much SEO work for your for your web supplier.
And you don't have to have a budget, big like ours, or actually as small like ours. There are. You can build a website from scratch, or you can use one of these free or low-cost themes from WordPress, which is a web development community out there. So for small businesses,
$50,
it doesn't cost a lot.
Themes, and it just the back end stuff that you don't see works, and you just got to make sure you put in good quality, solid content, and then it does it for you. It resizes it, it makes it whatever size that you guys need it to be. So what is your kind of number one social media channel right now that you guys are using, and why is it your number one channel?
Not to be flippant, but I would say all of our social networks are important because we use them in different ways to reach different audiences. So for instance, we love Snapchat. Snapchat is great. We were one of the first travel destinations on Snapchat, and it's great for us to reach a highly coveted and mobile millennial audience. Facebook, less so. Facebook is great for us when we go into our Facebook insights and our analytic data. Our most engaged and loyal audience are women, typically over the age of 55. So if we were to promote a really fun event like the Detroit Electronic Music Festival, techno music, right? Snapchat is tailor-made for that. Less so with Facebook. These 55-year-old women would be bored out of their mind if we posted something about electronic music festival. They don't care.
Exactly. So you at home, go to your Facebook page, click on Insights, look at the analytics, look at the people who like your page, what's their age, what's their demographic, where do they live, and when you start curating content, you can actually dedicate specific posts to certain markets. You don't have to send it out to everyone in the entire world. So, and you guys are using, pretty much name it, you're on it.
On 8 different social networks. And that's not to say that that we don't also decommission social networks. We also pull back as well, right? So, for our business or any business, large or small, if you're not getting the return, if a social network doesn't ladder up to your business objective, then you're just
wasting time and money.
You're just talking, just to talk. If you like listening to yourself talk, then talk away. But your social strategies should tie to your business objective.
Overall business objectives.
Overall.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, you guys are just starting to deal with the latest and greatest in social media, which is live streaming broadcasting.
Yes.
So that's companies like Periscope, like Meerkat. So talk a little bit about that. What's the next trend, or how awesome is Pure Michigan going to utilize that tool to really take forward a new market and talk to people who are listening?
Right. So if we, at the end of the year, if we were to kind of look back, and kind of look to see what the travel trend is of 2015, it is hands down mobile live streaming. Mm-hmm. So we were the first travel destination in North America to have a mobile live streaming virtual tour. Mm-hmm. We partnered up with, it wasn't Periscope, it wasn't Meerkat, it was Georama. Mm-hmm. Both Periscope and Meerkat are mobile apps that require viewers to download the mobile app to watch and interact and participate. At the time, and I still feel even a couple months later that it was the right choice, and it still is, we partnered with Georama that provides mobile live streaming to a desktop or a cell phone or a tablet.
So you don't
it is
have
platform
to have
agnostic.
the app.
You don't have to download.
Just go to
we
the
got
URL.
Far more visibility, and the feed and the interactivity was far more accessible. We had viewers from every continent on the planet except for Antarctica, because they don't have internet or Wi-Fi, tuned in to watch it. So we had something like 3,500 different viewers from 800 something different cities from around the world tuned in to watch Tom Dalton, who's a popular PBS show under the radar. He's got like a couple million viewers from around the U.S. He was the travel host, and we turned him loose. For 4 hours. We had a cameraman. He was interacting with viewers as they asked him questions and talked to him in real time. And he replied to people, and he asked people, "Where do you want me to go? What would you like me to see
Go
on
get some
Mackinac
fudge.
Island?"
Let me see.
It is perfect. So it's perfect for hotels and restaurants or cities or destinations in the travel industry to provide that authentic, real, unmoderated video feed.
Exactly. So that's so awesome. Talk about the next thing that you've done. You guys partnered with Google, and you had one of their fancy Google backpacks on, and you guys went up to get a Google Earth view of the top of the Mackinac Bridge. So kind of talk us through that. What was that partnership?
That was a fun project.
And how fun was that for you guys to be able to do?
Yeah, so Pure Michigan was one of the first state travel brands to partner with Google Maps for the privilege of being lent a Google Trekker device, which is a 40-pound backpack. It's got something like 30-something cameras mounted overhead that capture 360-degree panoramic photo that gets digitized as you're wearing it, and it gets beamed back to the mothership, back to Google, to live on Google Maps Street View. So many cities and locations in Michigan are currently live on Street View, but there's many places that aren't. There's many places that Google Street View Van is inaccessible to, like hiking trails, nature trails, biking trails, kayak trails, Mackinac Island, the one place in America where cars have been banned for over 100 years, right? It's kind of ironic that we're the car capital of the world,
That's
but right.
No cars on one of the most popular travel destinations.
Ironic. So we took it to Mackinac Island, we took it to the top of the Mackinac Bridge, so for the first time ever, people can get an unprecedented view of what it's like to stand at the top tower of Mackinac Bridge, one of the longest suspension bridges, the longest suspension bridge in the Western Hemisphere. It's amazing. It's on Google Maps. Over 1 billion people a month use Google Maps. It's amazing.
So right now, we're going to link this up, bottom of the website. Maybe it's over here. I don't know. Wherever Morgan wants to put it is where it's going to go. Check that out. And then for your business, another thing that Google does, so Google Maps, you have Street View. You can also get virtual tours of your business today, right now, your restaurant, your hotel. You can hire Google, go to there. We'll put the link down here too. You find an approved Google photographer. You can go in, they'll come in, they'll take a virtual tour of your business. And when people are clicking through Google, they pull up your restaurants in Lansing, they find it, they go over to your little Google profile, they'll show that you have a virtual tour. You can click on it and you can just click through the restaurant or your hotel or your business or your coffee shop or whatever it is. You can create that and people can see exactly what your restaurant looks like before they even get there.
It's fundamentally changing how travelers are researching where to go and where to stay and what to do, because they're going to Google Maps and they're actually checking out. For instance, Grand Hotel has done some of these 360-degree interior spin tours. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that for a
it's not
small
very much.
restaurant or for a small business. So on Michigan.org, we have roughly 12,000 properties in our database of restaurants and hotels and museums. Listings showing photographs of the location, but also the website supports 360-degree spin tours from Google Maps. So for instance, Grand Hotel, their spin tours are accessible on Michigan.org.
Right inside of the
we're
website.
Constantly looking for content. So as restaurants and hotels get these spin tours, we would love to showcase them on Michigan.org.
Give them to them, exactly. Don't miss a single episode of the Stocki Exchange Show. Visit the Stocki Exchange Facebook page, like our page, hover over the like button and click Get Notifications and see first to never miss out on a show or post. So this is the part of the show where I like to ask my guests a one-word question. So we're going to ask Chad here, what is a city that you want to visit that's not in Michigan? Not in Michigan.
Not in Michigan.
Okay.
No place.
You've been to them already. I'm sure you've been to all of them.
No place. I've lived on half the world's continents and traveled to 28 countries by the time I graduated high school. And by far, hands down, my most favorite place of all is Michigan. But if you had to twist my arm and force me,
you got to leave.
I would say visiting family in Minnesota. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is the part now where you can ask me some questions, the Stocki Exchange.
Oh, I ask you a question.
Funny play on words. I've been asking
right.
you a ton all day, so now it's
Yeah.
your chance to, pick my brain about marketing or anything that you want to ask. Really, just anything you want. Shoot
Yeah. Okay.
for.
Great. So for businesses just kind of getting started with social media and how it works and where to go, well, what is the most common mistake that you see businesses make just getting started?
I think it's a two-part answer. So I think the first thing is understanding their market and understanding which social media channels are going to be the best for their business purposes. So like you had talked about with Snapchat, the 60-year-old lady who's on Facebook isn't using Snapchat. So you have a multitude of markets. So you guys are on every channel because your target market is pretty much anyone can travel to Michigan for something. But say you own a fancy Italian restaurant, you're probably not going to be on Snapchat too much if your average check is $100, because most people probably can't afford $100 in certain demographics. So understand your demographics and then understand trends of where those people are active, choose those markets, and then be consistent with it. I've said many times on the show, it's better to go deep in your marketing than it is to go wide. So don't be on 10 channels and do them all crappy. Do on 2 of them, be the best at them, and then understand, as you mentioned earlier, things do evolve and they change. And if that market isn't quite supporting you anymore, you're not getting any ROI out of it, you're not seeing any interaction or engagement, it might be time to look at the next, what's the next kind of thing. And something you mentioned as well is businesses and trust of businesses is changing. So the concept of advertising itself is completely changing from back in the day when all information came from the news, newspapers, or billboards. Now communication is super readily accessible and information. I can click on your website, go to your hotel, and see the inside of a room for a virtual tour before I even get out of my pajamas on my bed. You can do that. So the concept of social media is no longer, it's not just advertising, it's creating that communication and the interaction and engagement with your potential clients. Build that up, and then people are going to be like, well, that's cool. They understand how I want to receive information. It's not, I don't have options anymore. There's 3,000 marketing messages a day. How do you stand out? It's creating those connections. It's building a reputation. It's being accessible to your potential clients and then giving them good quality information, not wrong opening hours, not a website that doesn't work on a cell phone. You have really bad TripAdvisor reviews that you don't respond to. Those aren't good things to start with. So I would say choose a few channels that you know your target market's in, really create strong relationships in those markets, and then always be learning and asking yourself, is it working? If it's not, try to move on to the next thing.
And I like the points that you're making, and particularly around the point about focus on where your audience is at, right? And don't spread yourself too thin. Go deep rather than wide. That's also a great way for businesses to save time. Because we all have limited time, bandwidth, and resources, and we don't have to be everywhere, every place, right? But if we choose the social networks where our audiences are spending their time, and we have internal staff and resources to properly support that social network, then go for it. Go for it as long as it ladders up to your business objectives.
Exactly. And that's another big complaint. People say, we don't have time to do all
Don't
that.
have time.
Well, don't try to do so much. Just be smarter. Don't work harder, work smarter.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Right.
So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure.
Everything was
Thank you.
awesome. You guys, check out puremichigan.org. We'll link it up. Check out the blog right now, stockyexchange.com/blog. Pull up your phone, bloop, 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 type it in. All the show notes from this. We're going to have a bunch of links to a couple other cool videos that Pure Michigan's put out. Make sure you guys follow them on social media. Interact. Send them tons of photos. I'm sure you'd love to try to get yourself on the Pure Michigan.
We would love to feature your photograph on Pure Michigan's Instagram page.
Exactly. So if you want to be Instagram famous by tomorrow, Chad's the way to do it.